The final outcome is already insane because this confirmation detonates the lightweight division tonight, careers flip upside down, legacies get gambled without consent, and somebody leaves exposed forever, and now we violently snap backward because you need to understand how a single injury turned into Dana White greenlighting Arman Tsarukyan versus Paddy Pimblett, a matchup that feels less like sport and more like a stress test for the UFC's honesty, courage, and control. Nah, this can't be real. And if you blink, you'll miss who benefits and who's about to be sacrificed.
Because that Justin, he's gonna fight with me, but Paddy, if Paddy wins, he's gonna try to avoid me and trying not to fight me because he's not man like Justin.
I'm telling you right now, this isn't matchmaking. This is damage control disguised as opportunity. Because the moment Justin Gaethje goes down injured, the UFC doesn't pause. They don't reassess. They don't wait. They immediately shove Arman and Paddy into the same room and lock the door. And that tells me someone panicked. Someone needed movement fast. And someone doesn't want the questions that would come if Arman kept waiting any longer. Ask yourself why this moved so fast.
Listen, I think that there's a difference between having a meritocracy in sports and trying to make justifications for making the fights that are going to be most profitable for the business. Does that make sense? Because, I think, when you have this star and all these people that love tuning in for Paddy Pimblett fights, I'm not trying to necessarily agree with Arman that the UFC wants Paddy to be the champion of the division. I just think they want Paddy to be interesting enough to continue making fights that are going to make them money. And I think there's a slight difference with that. And I think that, I think they took the threat of Gaethje retiring as a serious one if he wasn't going to fight for some kind of a belt in his next one.
Arman Tsarukyan didn't predict this. He forced it because when he said Justin would fight him, but Paddy wouldn't, that wasn't trash talk. That was a warning shot. And now with Dana confirming this fight after the injury, it feels like the UFC saying, fine, let's find out. But understand the risk here, because if Arman is right, then an entire promotional narrative collapses in one night, and if he's wrong, then his own leverage evaporates forever.
Gaethje's a big star, so is Paddy Pimblett. Are those the two best guys that should get the next shot against Topuria? Probably not. Arman is clearly, I think, the best fighter who isn't the champ in that division. But I think that obviously he has an issue with maybe people not caring as much about his fights as other people. So I think that's the issue. I don't believe it's because of the headbutt. It was like he got injured and didn't fight in the last one. Then the next excuse was the headbutt. I don't buy those as excuses. I think they're trying to make justifications for Paddy Pimblett or Gaethje, because they are bigger names than Arman. They want to give one of those guys the shot. I think that's what that is. And I think Paddy and Gaethje should be competitive. I don't think Arman versus either of those guys would be competitive. I think Arman would walk.
Paddy Pimblett fans hear opportunity, but fighters hear danger, because this is not a gradual climb anymore. This is a straight elevator to judgment. And Paddy smiling through it all doesn't calm me, it alarms me. Because when a fighter jumps this fast, the UFC usually knows something we don't, or they're hiding something they don't want exposed yet. And yeah, that thought should bother you too.
To defend his title, so we have an interim title shot. But I think we still got a really, really fun, exciting fight. Justin Gaethje is as exciting of a fighter as you're ever going to find. And Paddy Pimblett is, I don't know that he gets enough credit for his kind of all gas, no brakes style. I think at this point, I think Paddy has done a pretty good job of quieting a lot of the critics, myself included. I think after the Jared Gordon fight, I think people believed maybe we'd seen the ceiling for Paddy, and that's about as good as he was going to be.
Don't miss this part because it's where things get uncomfortable. The business talk didn't disappear. It got louder because Arman is still the least convenient elite contender in the division. Too good, too durable, too consistent. And now they've paired him with the most marketable lightning rod possible. Which means either Paddy proves he's untouchable or Arman proves the UFC protected him until they couldn't anymore. There's no clean ending here.
I'm really excited about that fight. I know that Paddy Pimblett's going to want to take it to the mat, but Justin Gaethje's a Division I All-American that if he doesn't want to get taken down, it's going to be really, really tough to take Justin down and to hold him there. So I'm really
Dana White confirming this after the Gaethje injury isn't bravery, it's pressure release, because keeping Arman idle any longer would have made the favoritism impossible to explain. And injuries don't just open doors, they expose intentions, and the intention here is clear. Solve the Arman problem now, one way or another, before it grows teeth and starts biting the whole division.
I want Justin to beat Paddy. Yeah. Because that Justin, he's gonna fight with me, but Paddy, if Paddy wins, he's gonna try to avoid me and trying not to fight me because he's not man like Justin.
People keep saying this is good timing. Nah, this is violent timing, because Paddy doesn't get a tune-up. Arman doesn't get patience, and the fans don't get clarity, they get chaos. And chaos is profitable until it isn't, because once the wrong guy wins the wrong way, everything the UFC planned for the next 2 years gets ripped up. And I swear someone backstage knows this already.
For us, I think he's a good fighter, but he's not unlike me at all. So the fact that I've got Ellis playing Justin Gaethje for me, and then I've got Luke, who's a better, faster, more powerful technical striker than him, I think it all goes into my favour.
You got Luke Riley above Justin. You're rating him above Justin Gaethje in the striking department already in his career, you reckon?
Yeah. Luke Riley's been fighting Thai in Thailand since he was 8 years old, lad. You know what I mean? When Justin Gaethje was wrestling, lad, Luke was fighting Thai and then doing amateur boxing, and Luke's striking is a class above, and people are going to see it over the next couple of years, lad. He's the striking version of me. His striking's phenomenal, lad, and I just can't wait for him to show everyone how good he is. And in a fight or two, he'll be fighting ranked opponents, lad, and he'll climb that featherweight rankings faster than I climb the lightweight ones. Promise you that.
You feel the tension shift when analysts stop smiling and start hedging, because suddenly words like merit and excitement collide, and when those two fight, merit usually loses, but not always. And that uncertainty is why this matchup feels radioactive, because if Arman dominates, the excuses run out instantly. And if Paddy survives, the goalpost moves so fast you'll feel whiplash trying to keep up.
Oh, I want to fight him, lad. I want to fight him.
Yeah.
Because it'll be funny once I beat Gaethje, everyone will be like, oh, Gaethje's done, he's past his best, this and that. But then when I beat Ilya, what's the excuse going to be then? It'll be, oh, Ilya was never that good. That's why Paddy beat him.
Yeah, he's short. He got dropped. He got dropped by Jai Herbert.
Yeah, he was never a lightweight, all this and that. That's what it'll be. Watch, you know what I mean? The goalposts get moved.
Listen to how quiet it got around the headbutt excuse, because that storyline just died. Injuries erased it, urgency erased it, and now Arman is back in the center. Whether they like it or not, which tells me that excuse was always temporary, always fragile, and meant to buy time. And time just ran out in the most chaotic way possible.
Time. Very nice, Justin.
Paddy talking confidence, striking, future belts. That's all noise right now, because confidence doesn't stop takedowns and hype doesn't survive grappling pressure. And if you think the UFC hasn't replayed that scenario 100 times internally, then you're lying to yourself, because this fight answers questions they've been dodging for years, and that's why it feels dangerous, not exciting.
Everyone's favourite vlogger, King of the Mat. I don't even know what can be asked today. 5 weeks out from fighting Justin. I am very tired. Had a big day's training already. Probably not gonna not do it though, am I? Can't not do it. It's a nice calorie burner, it's a good workout, and it's good fun. We have a King of the Mat every year, and we have a grading every year.
Here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. If Arman wins convincingly, someone lied to the fans, maybe about merit, maybe about readiness, maybe about protection, and once that lie cracks, every past decision gets re-examined. And that kind of audit doesn't stop at one fight, it spreads. And yeah, that's a time bomb sitting under this announcement.
I do not know if Justin, but it's going to be one of the two, make no mistake. Justin Gaethje is either going to be champion of the world or he's going to be retired. The next time we have this talk, the next time we get together and we're talking about a year in review or a year in preview, the great year to come, Justin Gaethje's either going to be champion of the world or he's going to be retired. And he's going to kick things off with an opportunity to be the champion of the world, which he earned a very hard way. By the way, that division is so difficult. 155 pounds. That is so hard. So now he's gonna go in there with Paddy. They're gonna call that the interim championship. I don't get it. I'm gonna call it interim championship too, but I don't get it. You got one champion.
Justin Gaethje's injury didn't slow the division, it accelerated into a wall because now his retirement leverage hangs over everything, and the UFC needed motion, not reflection, so they chose the fight that forces resolution, and resolution always creates victims. The only question is whether that victim is Arman's title hopes or Paddy's invincibility myth.
And the interim champion is almost a title of grace. It's a title of compassion. Like, there's not any amongst us that don't know what the word champion means. There's not any amongst us that believe you can have two champions at the same time. We know that that's impossible. But sometimes you show grace, right? There's something happening with your current champion and he's not able to make that walk. So we have an interim champion. And I like it. I'm for it. I'm one of the guys that likes the interim belt. I only share for you that in the case of Justin Gaethje, if we're at the same point at this time next year, that's got to be an undisputed belt by then, doesn't it?
When Dana confirms this publicly, that's not reassurance, that's commitment, because backing out now would look worse than making the fight in the first place, and that locks everyone into consequences they can't spin away later, which is why the energy feels off, rushed, sharp, like everyone's smiling while holding their breath.
Going to be very telling in this fight.
Yeah, and now let's move to intangibles, because I think, so there's some obvious ones.
Yeah.
Justin Gaethje hasn't been all that active lately. You know, when you look back, one of the things that I like to do personally is watch the last 3 fights of each fighter, you know, because that's going to be the most recent body of work, and then some of their training videos that are current. You know, when I was looking at it, it actually surprised me that Dustin Poirier fight, which would have been the third most recent, was in 2023.
Wow. Yeah.
So, you know, we're now in 2026. So Justin Gaethje has not been all that active. So we have inactivity from Justin Gaethje. We have momentum for Paddy. Paddy's riding high. Paddy doesn't care what the world says about his opponent's record. He doesn't care what the world says about getting Dana White privilege. He doesn't care about any of that.
No.
Paddy's riding high. Paddy feels like he's the best fighter in the world. He's giving respect to Gaethje, but not too much. He's coming in there to knock him out.
Ask yourself why this announcement feels heavier than it should, because it's not just about who wins, it's about who the UFC believes in when things go wrong. And injuries always reveal priorities. And the priority here was not waiting for clarity, it was forcing an answer, even if that answer burns someone important on the way out.
Win record. So that's another X factor. Now, those are bads on the Justin side. Let's get the bads on the Paddy side. We do look at the last 3 opponents of Paddy the Baddy, and then we look at the body of work of Justin Gaethje. As you said, Justin Gaethje hadn't fought anybody outside of the top 5 in almost a damn decade.
That's
so,
ridiculous.
You know,
in the murderer's row of 155.
And he's fought the best people at 155, period. Many of them he's fought multiple times. So Paddy the Baddy is going to have a disadvantage. This will be the biggest fight Paddy the Baddy has ever been in. This will not be the biggest fight Justin Gaethje has ever been in. He's been in undisputed title fights with one of the greatest of all time in Khabib. He's been in there with top Dustin Poirier multiple times, Max Holloway, you name it.
Won an interim belt and put it on the ground.
Exactly. This Justin Gaethje has been there, done that, gotten the t-shirt, and it's been a decade since he did.
Both have fights coming up very, very soon. We know Paddy's fighting Justin Gaethje, and if he beats Gaethje, he becomes the interim champion. After that, Dan Hooker's off his radar, right? He will not get to fight Dan Hooker. The only person he's going to fight next is either Ilia Topuria, if Ilia comes back soon, which I hope he does, because he only just became the champion, or it's going to be Arman Tsarukyan, right? Now, Arman Tsarukyan, a lot of people felt that he should have got the title shot. As we know, there was a few circumstances pulling out of the fight. He headbutted Dan Hooker when he beat him recently. And Dana White just kind of like admitted that definitely played a factor into him not getting a title shot.
Did the headbutt play any factor in the decision to 100%. Not go with him? It did, right?
I can't shake the feeling that something else is coming, another reveal, another shift, another excuse preloaded for later. Because situations like this never end clean, they fracture. And the way this was announced tells me we're only seeing the surface. And someone somewhere is already preparing damage control for the outcome. They're pretending isn't possible.
But anyway, if Paddy beats Justin, none of this matters because they ain't gonna fight. But if he loses, I think we might see this fight happen pretty quickly because remember, 1 week after UFC 324, I'll be there. The week after, I'll be there as well in Sydney, Australia. UFC 325 is happening. Dan Hooker's going up against Benoit Saint-Denis. Tough stylistic matchup for both men. Benoit Saint-Denis is going to try and grapple him. He's going to try and take him down because on the feet, Dan Hooker probably has his way. But Dan Hooker's not an easy man to take down. Remember, the man has a victory over Mateusz Gamrot. And yes, okay, Charles Oliveira just went out there and dominated and finished Gamrot pretty easily, you know, respectfully to Gamrot, right? But that's Charles Oliveira, right? The man with some of the best grappling and the most submissions in the history of the sport.
So yeah, this fight is confirmed. The chaos is official, but nothing is settled. Because until that cage door closes, alliances can shift, narratives can change, and one more injury or one bad round could flip the entire script again. And if you think this is the final version of this story, nah, you're already behind.